And thank you very much for staying with us here on PM Express. We're going to go to Agyapa shortly, but Mr. Pong, Commander, something quickly that a press conference that was done today by the NDC. I want to give an opportunity to further clarify on this projects that the NDC had clearly stated are ghost projects. It came up during the presentation with the issue with the Adenta, right? Yeah. They say they've managed to pick up as many as 100, more than 100 projects. They just simply listed 26 of them, including the Adenta one. And so to say that it's isolated, it's putting it mildly not true.
No, I have said that what I've heard a concession to is the Adenta project that I've heard the MP concede should not have been included in the list. I've also seen this evening on social media videos by people from other parts of the country that claim that this list of 100, out of which I'm told they listed about 26 or so, does not add up. And that some of the roads that they say are not correct, you find that they are standing on one end of the road when construction has started at this end, filming one end and saying that, look at the road, nothing has been done. That is what I've seen on social media tonight. But I'm saying that if the NDC says that 100 is incorrect, that's what they are saying, correct?
And they have evidence, though. They showed evidence. There's a lot of them that were there to see it.
Don't worry. We are not even going to debate on that one. We have put out 17,334 infrastructure projects. We have put that out to make the point clearly that we have done infrastructure across the 260 districts of this country. And we have challenged them to produce their database of infrastructure in their first term across the country. I haven't heard that come forth.
The Green Book is there.
No, please. How many projects are in the Green Book?
I haven't thoroughly reviewed.
But that's the point we are making. We have now gone to 17,334. So if they come back and their only response is that we found 100 projects that are not correct, I'm already seeing that those 100 claims are being contested. But you grant them the 100, add another 100 to it, add a third 100, and add 34. So take out the 334. You still have 17,000 infrastructure projects we are talking about, which we say is evidence of the fact that, contrary to the claims that this administration has not done infrastructure, we have done infrastructure across the length and breadth of this country. I will hope that they will now also come forward as we compare records and say, this is our list of, is it 20,000 projects or 19,000 projects? And then we can have a conversation. But merely holding a press conference to say 100 of the projects are not correct, I don't think negates the argument we have made.
Let's go to the big controversy surrounding the Agyapa Royalties controversy. Why do we have a foreign company which will not pay taxes to this country managing mine and your mineral royalties?
So, Evans, let's go back to 2018. In 2018, we proposed an idea to the people of Ghana, proceeded to convert it into a bill, submitted it into Parliament, and had a full-blown debate to answer this question. The reason is simple. Ghana, over the decades, has not had a lot of self-resources to invest in what we call a participating interest in mineral resource companies. And so very often what we have relied on is what we call the royalties. So you have a company like AngloGold Ashanti or several other resource companies that come dig up our resources and then account to us that they dug up 2 million tons. The price is $1,000 per ton, and therefore the royalties due the Republic are X. A few things happen. Because we cannot on a regular basis predict the kind of output year to year, and even the price, what ends up happening is that the royalties component that feeds into our national budget keeps fluctuating. And Ghana is not the only country that has this challenge. If you go to some of the Scandinavian countries or places like Canada, the way they have gone around fixing this is that you set up what you call a mineral royalties company, which will now front load part of those receivables and stabilize the utilization of those expenses. So in 2008, we went to Parliament with a two-tier program. The first part was to create the Mineral Incomes Investment Fund, which will now become the entity responsible for policing all our royalties. And mind you, a lot of our royalties were not being policed. If you read, I think, Professor Agyapa Soya and his review of the resource industry, a lot of our royalties were not being policed over the years. So this vehicle will first of all police it. Secondly, this vehicle, 100% owned by the government of Ghana, is a vehicle that will be responsible for receiving the 100% royalties.
For now, but foreigners will take...
No, the Mineral Income Investment Fund 100% from now till the future owned by the Republic of Ghana.
The Mineral Investment Fund, yes.
Absolutely.
I'm talking about the Agyapa Royalties.
I'll come there. I'll talk about Agyapa and ARG. I'll come there. But in 2008, we went to Parliament to clearly put this thing on the table, that we are seeking to set up this MIIF to stabilize the receipt and the utilization and to assign our royalty receipts to this particular entity. Now, I want to read to you sections 2 and 3 of the Act. Section 2 of the Act says that the objects of the fund are to A, maximize the value of the income that is due the Republic from the mineral wealth of the country for the benefit of its citizens. B, monetize the minerals income, the income that will be coming, monetize it in a beneficial, responsible, transparent, accountable, and sustainable manner. And C, develop and implement measures to reduce the budgetary exposures of the Republic to the minerals income fluctuations, as I was talking about. Section 3 talks about the powers of the fund. 3A says that the fund can now create and hold equity interest in a special purpose vehicle in any jurisdiction in furtherance of its objects, and special purpose vehicle shall be free to operate as a regular commercial company. B, procure the listing of the special purpose vehicle on any reputable stock exchange that it considers appropriate. C, assign or transfer all or any of its rights so the fund can do that assignment to the special purpose vehicle in furtherance of the objectives of the fund, and goes on to list a few other items. Now, we had opportunity to debate this structure, drew the examples from Canada and all the other places where this was being done, and said we intend to do this so that Ghana can set up Africa's first mineral royalties company under the Mineral Income Investment Fund. So now there's a fund that has been assigned the royalties that will accrue to the government of Ghana. And that fund has been given the power to monetize it and to stabilize the flows of those prospective royalties. This fund is now getting into the second level of things, where they are now setting up their SPV. The SPV is Agyapa Royalties Ghana Limited. This SPV is being set up and is being assigned the royalties, the prospective royalties from only 16 mines in this country. 16 mines in this country.
What is the value of that?
Well, we'll come to that because that becomes the third part of the conversation. 16 royalties have now been literally approved by Parliament and assigned to Agyapa. Now, what Agyapa is going to do is to do this assessment. First of all, you have to assign it to them. Then they'll do this assessment. Mine 1, useful life of the mine outstanding is 10 years. If you look at the gold that is still expected down there, maybe 1 billion over the next 10 years. Mine 2, 300 over the next 4. They will do this whole assessment.
You don't know as of now?
Well, you do the assignment first, and then they'll be seized with the power to do it.
The contract says 1 billion.
Coming. You do the assignment first, and then they'll be seized with it to do this assessment. When they do this assessment, they will then calculate what you call the net present value of all these prospective flows. And then now proceed to say, okay, for example, if the future flows are worth about $10 billion over, let's say, 10 years, we want to float about 40% of this company. Now, this is the NPV of the future flows, 10 billion. We want to float about 40% of it.
Talking in hypothetical terms. Let's talk in real terms.
No, I'm coming. It is important.
Already written into
No, it is
contract.
important for people to understand these things before we throw the controversies in. Else nobody will understand it. So take 10 billion. You say you are floating 40% of it upfront. You will be left with another 60% outstanding. So when they do this validation and this assessment, and they come to the view that what they want to float is, let's say, 400 million or 500 million or 1 billion, what happens as a first step is that they take this share flotation value, because it is an asset that has been monetized, they take it upfront and make it available to the Mineral Incomes Investment Fund. Then you have a second tier of the 60% outstanding, which now, as the royalties flow, because remember, it wasn't 100%, just about 40. As the royalties flow, this 60%, if the government of Ghana, like in this structure, controls the majority stake in this company, there's what you call a dividend policy. So now, the royalties that are going to flow on an annual basis, okay, the government of Ghana still now has a majority share in that royalty flow. Those who have bought the 40% now get, give or take, about a 40% stake in the dividend that have been announced for that period. So you are getting about 3 benefits here. 1, You get upfront money, which is not a loan. Remember in 2016, the NDC mortgaged the flows from the road fund and took a loan, I think from UBA, at about 32% interest. And we spoke against the nature of that transaction. Here, we are not taking a loan.
But
we are selling...
That is not entirely accurate, though, Kojo. Because what this is, and I want to go to the specifics now, what this is that we have the mineral royalties that are bankable and guaranteed, between 3 to 5% that we get from the companies. What we're doing currently is that Agyapa Royalties will manage the fund on our behalf. We'll go to the market and we'll get an upfront of, as they I've seen the contract specify, between 500 to 750 million, right, upfront from investors. We have to pay these investors with interest. We're going to pay these investors with interest from the royalties, mine and your royalties.
No, take your time and let me explain it.
You're saying that how are you going to pay back the investors?
Take your time. The investors are going to be paid from the dividend policy of the residual that is not floated. That's why it's important we all take our time and go to the structure. First of all, the upfront funds that is coming, and that's where I was when you came in. The upfront fund is not a debt. It is shares that are being sold on the stock market. You don't raise debt on the stock exchange. They are shares that are being floated in the offshore company, that is the ARG, okay, which is 100% owned by Agyapa. So the two are the same. It's the same entity, just that once you are incorporating one abroad, it will technically be a different legal entity, but it is the same. The 40% or whatever, whether it's 400 million or what they are assuming is somewhere between 500 and 750.
As in the amount that we are hoping to raise.
The shares that we're hoping to sell is about, let's say, between 750. By the time they finish with the final assessment of all the accruing royalties and its money value, that one, as I've said, comes to MIIF, and it is not a debt. It's very different from what we've done in
Let's talk how much exactly are you?
Well, how much shares? They are going through the process.
So we don't know for now?
But the process they haven't, it's step by step. I mean, from the day one that they did the MIIF, they hadn't signed up on all of those. But
Parliament was still 500 to 750.
So what's the figure? It's a ballpark figure that gives you guidance. That this particular thing we are doing, this is the guidance.
Okay. Well, what is the dividend policy?
Well, I'm coming to all of those. Yeah. So I'm saying, and we must recognize that the first thing that is happening is that we're not raising debt. I think it's something we need to get people to understand. That's one. Number two, because it is not debt, it doesn't come with interest expenses in our fiscal tables, which crowd out fiscal space.
Yeah, but you have to pay back dividends.
We will come to all of those.
We run out of time. So
let's make time for people to understand.
Yeah, but we'll run out of time in 3 minutes.
It is critical. Let's make time for people to understand it.
So let's utilize the 3 minutes.
First of all, if you are not interrupting me, I'll make the time. First of all, we're raising not a debt. We are selling shares. Yeah. We are not going to incur interest expenses on our fiscal tables. Number three, we are going to have a majority share in the residual royalties that come in. Remember, it wasn't 100% we sold. There's a 60% we didn't sell, assuming there's a structure. We are going to have a majority share in that one. Then the fourth very interesting benefit is that the government of Ghana now has, for the first time, a vehicle that has money that can invest in other mines and now take a participating interest in mines, not just in Ghana, but everywhere else around the world. So here's my point. This is something that was well explained in Parliament from the beginning. In 2008, when we were passing the law, they have now started the process of structuring a transaction. Nothing untoward has been occasioned with this transaction. We have to give them space for them to do this assessment, do this valuation, and come back and tell us that the pinpoint figure is X, and that these are the flows that come in. What we find unpatriotic as a majority, which we have called out, is that it is not right that when the government of Ghana is in the middle of transactions like this, you have senior politicians going out there and threatening investors. That if you participate in this, we will not honor it. We think it is not patriotic. We think it is not responsible. We think that if you have challenges, you can raise those challenges, you can raise those questions, but do not threaten investors when the sovereign public is out there raising resources.
And it leads to my question. About the suspicion of politically exposed individuals, people aligned to your party, involved in the deal. If you look at the contract that was sent to Parliament that was approved, it says communicating writing. If you want to communicate on this to, of course, if you look at in case of the fund, one of the names listed there is Kofi Osafo-Maafo. Osafo-Maafo, the senior minister, has two sons. One of them has the name Kofi Osafo-Maafo. Is it the same Kofi Osafo-Maafo?
Yes, this is Kofi Osafo-Maafo, who is, over the years, been very experienced in mineral royalties transactions. Check his track record. in the various countries that he's worked for. He currently works as SNIT, that's my understanding, and he's going to move in to work
that is a politically exposed person.
I don't get
that is a senior minister's son who's involved in this.
Therefore, Evans Mensah's son tomorrow is involved in a particular transaction that he's ultimately qualified for, and because he's Evans Mensah's son, he's barred from participating in it.
Yes, and so you see the reason why your opponents who say this is just part of a scheme by the MPP.
Show me the scheme. Because Safo Mafo's son, who over the years has been very experienced in mineral royalties, I'm coming. Who over
there's nobody else qualified.
But
independent and apolitical.
But why must he be bad because he's Safo Mafo's son?
Because there are many other qualified who are apolitical.
Including him. Yeah. Why? Because his father is a politician, something that he's qualified to do.
His father is a senior minister.
So
his favorite is not.
No, please. Let's not do this to ourselves. Tomorrow your son, when he has an opportunity to do something, we'll say because his father is a known journalist in this country, he's disqualified. That's not the argument. Is there something untoward in this transaction? If there is, raise it. If there's nothing untoward, don't creep to this argument that because one of the persons involved in it is Osafo Mafo's son. I'm coming. That the mere fact that it is Osafo Mafo's son, regardless of his decades of experience in this industry, he should be barred from it.
Very finally, this vehicle, Agyapa, won't pay taxes to Ghana, but you're going to manage my royalty. How do you justify that to your people?
How does the government of Ghana pay taxes to itself?
I'm talking about Agyapa.
But
Agyapa, question is direct.
Agyapa,
it's a foreign company.
No,
managing my royalties
is a Ghanaian company.
Agyapa is registered.
No, ARG is the foreign leg of haven. ARG is the foreign leg. Why? You want to attract investors to bring in their money to buy the 40%.
But they're managing my royalties.
They are going to bring in money.
And they're not paying
Can I answer your question?
Yeah.
They are going to bring in monies to fund the 40% share flotation.
Yeah. Monies that they only get because of my royalties.
Answer your question.
Yes.
They are going to bring in money to fund the 40% share flotation. We are offering them a tax incentive for that money they are bringing in. Hold on. When the royalties accrue to the entity, Agyapa, the shareholders therein, including the government of Ghana, will not be paying taxes on the earnings therefrom. But if they proceed to invest that money in any other investable vehicle, they will be paying taxes on it in this country. We sit in parliament on a daily basis. Can I answer your question? We sit in parliament on a daily basis and give tax concessions to several entities that are going to invest money.
But they are in a tax haven. That's different. What you're saying is different.
I'm saying that
they are in a tax haven.
What they are doing, it's not different. Take your time and understand.
It's different. They are in a tax haven.
It's not.
They are not obliged to pay, and they won't pay taxes.
On what? It's not on everything. On the monies they are bringing in to fund this 40%, they are not going to pay taxes on it. On the revenues that will accrue to the royalty, first of all, royalty is tax. You know that?
Yes. I mean, but my
relax.
My question.
Where have you heard that we pay tax on tax?
Why?
I'm asking you a direct question. Where have you heard that we pay tax on tax?
I asked a question here, Mr. Okonkwo.
No, we're having a conversation.
No, it's a conversation. I know, but I'm saying.
We're having a conversation.
This is a government that is endorsing.
You are suggesting.
Tax haven companies managing my royalties on our behalf.
There's nothing wrong with it. You are suggesting that they should be paying tax on the tax?
Yeah.
Is that what you are suggesting?
My question, that's what my question is specific.
We don't pay tax on tax.
That's not my question. My question is about the tax haven.
Why are they not paying taxes?
This is the government that is endorsing.
That they are bringing in.
That's not my question.
If I can answer your question.
Because that's not my question.
That's the question you raised.
No.
Now, why are they not paying taxes on the money they are bringing in?
My question is why government is endorsing the establishment of a company that is going to manage my royalties in a tax haven.
They're not going to manage your royalties in a tax haven.
What are they doing? What is Agyapa Royalties doing?
Can I answer your question?
Finally, yes.
They are set up in Jersey as a tax haven to attract investors to front load this share flotation.
And they couldn't be established in Ghana?
Well, go onto the world market and find out where such companies are set up. First of all, they are being listed on the London Stock Exchange. Why are they not being listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange?
Yes,
they are being listed on the London Stock Exchange because when you study the history of mineral royalties companies and where mineral flotations take place, the London Stock Exchange is the most liquid market for it.
But yet in Parliament, you said that Ghanaians and foreigners can buy shares.
Of course, they can buy shares.
The foreign exchange?
I'm surprised you don't know this. Ghanaians buy.
They do.
Ghanaians buy. But you
can I answer your
question? Ghanaians buy shares on the London Stock Exchange on a daily basis. people have brokerage houses here in this country, fund managers here in this country, who buy from where it is listed. I'm saying to you that you don't pay taxes on royalties. If anybody has a substantive thing against this transaction, let him raise it. But this cooked up story of an Esafo son and is this one's friend, I think it's becoming a begged argument in this country. This is a fine transaction. Let us stop bastardizing transactions that mean well for the Republic. If there's something untoward here, somebody should raise it. But for all I know, and I'm sure your literature review will prove, you don't tax royalties. A royalty in its first place is more or less a tax. You don't pay a tax on a tax.
That is Kojo Oponkum. I'm grateful.
Hey, come.